From humble beginnings to growth and evolving. And the arrival. This is First GenXers.
Poetic beat. Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast. That's right,
Yes, sir.
your favorite pop culture podcast. Try to say that 3 times fast. Um,
No, I'm not
pop,
trying that, bro. I'm not trying that.
your favorite pop culture podcast is back. This time with as you can see, visual format. And let me introduce the men that are going to be running this show with me week in and week out. Below me, right now on the screen, is the one, the only Graybush. No,
Fuck you, bro.
it's Agent K28, aka the Saint. What's up, bro?
What's good with it, Planet Earth? What's good with it? Y'all already know what time it is. It's time to get it rocking, man. Let's go. Let's
Let's go.
let's
Let's
jump
go.
into this shit. Let's
Uh,
go.
the man to the left of me, to the right if you're standing behind the screen, but if you're standing behind it, I don't know how you're watching. But is the one and only Runescryer, the host of the Night Shift. What's up?
What's up? What's up? How's it going?
Going well, going
Actually,
well.
actually got my ass out of bed for this time.
Well, we appreciate it, sir. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's,
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
good. It's good.
yeah.
So,
And
just like with last week, we kind of debuted a new segment right off the bat when we did our little WrestleMania review. We're going to debut another one today, and it's going to be called Pop Culture Corner, where we discuss all things Marvel, DC, comics, TV, movies, and we going to ride. So let's get to it, fellas. I'm going to hit y'all with the first big question of the day, and this can lead us wherever you want it to lead us. Is the MCU dead? Dave, take it away.
okay. Um, I don't think that it's dead. I think that it's staggering at this point.
Okay.
I think that everything that happened from Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, my king,
Yeah.
to Jonathan Majors, it really screwed up the plan. And there was a very intricate plan. Um, and everyone's kind of scrambling to figure out, okay, and they're trying to adjust on the fly. They're trying to juggle and adjust on the fly. Um, I think that part of the problem was the rollout of Disney Plus under Bob Chapek, because the guy who brought everything together, Marvel, Star Wars, and everything for Disney, was Bob Iger. Okay, he was the CEO of that. He's the one that brokered all these deals and gave us all this. Then he retired, and Chapek took over. Chapek's main thing was the theme parks, and he got his ass canned because he was kind of cooking the books on the subscription numbers with Disney Plus, trying to make himself look good. And when the board opened up things to take a look and see what's going on, wait a sec. So they canned him, brought Bob Iger back. Um, I think that there's issues in terms of, I don't have a problem with Kang as the big bad evil guy for the next couple phases, because I can see where they were wanting to go with Kang, but they didn't introduce him effectively. They tried to turn him into a slow burn villain. Whereas if you take a look at from a couple years back, the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated series, they brought in Kang. They brought in Kang swinging with a full-on assault of Earth from all of Kang's temporal forces. And I can kind of understand why they didn't want to do that so soon after Endgame. But on the other hand, Endgame had a definite ending point in there. And think about how it would have been if all of a sudden you got this major threat showing up. You got no Iron Man, you got no Captain America right off the bat, you got no Hulk right off the bat, and you have to build up everyone, build up, back up in the midst of the fight. And I think that that could be, I mean, I love Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think it's been the best Disney Plus series for Marvel in there. I mean, I know it doesn't hit me as hard as some folks, but Anthony Mackie just fucking killed it as Sam with that speech in the final episode in there. Um, I think that they got, Russell Wyatt was just pitch perfect as John Walker, U.S. agent, because they had that asshole quality without making him an unlikable asshole. And that's a very hard balance to do.
Oh
Um,
no. Oh, I agree. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't really see any real weak spots necessarily in what was going on with all the Disney Plus series. Um, I think that there were a couple of stumbling blocks post Endgame. Shang-Chi was brilliant. I mean, very well done. I mean, this was what we wanted with Iron Fist. Let's face it, in terms of Marvel martial arts. Um, I think that that they had a stumbling block with Eternals. But then again, with the announcement that with Fantastic Four, they're going to have Shia LaBeouf be Silver Surfer instead of Norrin Rad, and everyone's up in arms about that. You can't do that. Blah 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 blah. Blah. It's standard noise. Angry white fanboys. Um, but when you take a look at it, what they did with Eternals is that kind of retcon as to what the purpose of the Celestials is seeding planets and putting in metahuman powers to incubate celestial eggs inside the planet. That showed up in the comic book in the Earth X limited series. That was kind of a retcon in the comics, but Shala Ball was also Silver Surfer in the Earth X limited series at the time. So it does make sense from a canon fan point of view in there. I think a lot of everyone was wanting the MCU to fail for a variety of reasons. Not to put a too fine a point on it, it's the comic book fandom in general, which is primarily white, male, middle age in there, used to having all their whims catered to, and all of a sudden, Marvel's bringing in females to use it. Yeah, to use the Centaur. There was nothing wrong with She-Hulk. I loved She-Hulk. That was perfect. That was peak John Byrne She-Hulk. They even pulled off the sight gag from the She-Hulk comics, where she's ripping through the gutters between the panels to get to John Byrne to demand, "Why are you drawing me in the cheesecake position again?" They pulled that off brilliantly. But it's like, oh no, they turned her into a joke. It's like, no, god damn it. Yeah.
Okay. See here, see, okay. I'm gonna say this because I've been kind of like like not necessarily brewing or what have you because first of all the way up till Endgame, there was excitement. We already knew that that perhaps is the grand epic finale of the Gen Xers heroes. Understand this: the MCU, the original MCU, we know that back in the day, that all these quote unquote terrible adaptations on TV, we had the Incredible Hulk, which lasted far longer than any series at that point to date, because it was a story of a man moving on and on to cure this conflict that was within him.
Yeah, you're
So
talking the Lou Ferrigno version, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what I mean. The Lou Ferrigno version. I mean, there was nothing else on TV, but Spider-Man failed. Captain America failed. Doctor Strange failed. All these shows were on CBS and movies were on CBS. The only thing that was running at that time, of course, was Wonder Woman and of course, that was on ABC, then got changed to CBS at some point because CBS didn't want to be the quote unquote superhero network,
Right.
okay, during those 70s. So for us as adults, who understand that these movies, these origins, the origin of Iron Man, was almost dead point on with some, modern subtleties.
Right.
Captain America, you know, Thor, changed up just a little bit because, Thor was originally Dr. Donald Blake. That was his origin at that time, back in the 60s. That's what we grew up with. So, he has changed so many different times.
Right.
So at this point in the game, at this point in the game, we kind of took, we just kind of took advantage of what these heroes, expected us, but they did it well. The Infinity Saga was some of the best shit in the superhero. Like
Yep.
every chapter was nail biting. Okay, even Captain Marvel as one of the weaker chapters, and there was nothing wrong to take away from Brie Larson because
Uh,
she was the shit.
before,
Okay,
before
Captain Marvel, like, and hold on, let me just say
Okay.
this: the only thing when they started retconning, okay, like I understand Marvel, Wendy Lawson, because originally Marvel was known as Marvel, but Captain Marvel was a man at first because at
Mm-hmm.
that time Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the powers that be, that does it, but it doesn't take away from the story. My problem is that after the Gen X, after the storylines with Tony, after everything else decided to cease and going on this next generation, you know, it started off fine. The WandaVision was good. The Falcon and Winter Soldier was fucking great. Okay. Then what else?
Miss Marvel.
No. Yeah, Miss Marvel was cool. That wasn't I mean, I
Yeah.
that
I,
is that to me that was a series that was catered to the young to the young ladies out there. You understand what I'm saying? Young girls, the empowerment. And I do always believe in the
mhm.
empowerment of women because you know they gave us birth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're the center of the fucking universe, and if nobody understands that, then you get it. But I mean, it's just me.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the point.
Mhm. Mhm.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and this is going to get into, I know, because Saint, you and I were talking about this yesterday on the phone,
Yeah.
but this is going to tie into a little bit about our conversation. Um, in that I know everyone talks about the she, you, and the woke agenda and everything. And there is only one agenda for all these media companies, corporations. One agenda: make money. That's it. Okay. And what this is current, what we are right now, and I am not saying that they are adding in diversity perfectly because they are not, but we are at the episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine where Fork and Rom are are trying to convince the Council of Ferengi business leaders to eliminate the restrictions against women because they're effectively cutting out half of the purchasing economy by not and they're limiting the markets that they can open up to
right.
in terms of clothing, in terms of housewares, in terms of all this stuff. So that's where we're kind of at right now, in that Disney, Warner Brothers, Marvel, DC, whoever you want to name, they're trying to figure out how to maximize their audience.
Yep.
And I came to grips with this a lot longer, a long time ago. I understand that. And it still doesn't keep me from complaining about it. But I have a very realistic sense in, especially in my point of privilege. Okay. I mean, I'm a Tony Stark boy,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't have asked for anything better, except for maybe Iron Man 3. But then again, they did a great job. Like I said, with Shang-Chi rehabilitating the Mandarin and, Fu Manchu. I mean, I wasn't even expecting them to be able to do that successfully, and they did it.
And they did it.
They were able to give a fantastic portrayal of one of the most problematic villains that you can name in the Iron Man universe or in the Marvel universe.
Right.
Okay, coded for Yellow Peril, and they nailed it because they didn't try to have someone who looks like me dictate this is what we need to do. They got Asian creatives, writers, directors, and they
Made it happen.
listened,
Well,
and they made it happen. And this is the key point.
Hang on just a
Oh, sure
second.
thing. Yeah.
Hang on. I want to go ahead and give a gracious shout out to Crazy Berry Town, who's tapped in, and she's a streamer right here on Twitch.
Hey
And
there.
man, that's
hey,
what's up. Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Yeah.
Definitely,
welcome to
this
the
is
show.
this. Yeah,
Okay.
this is the start of it.
Okay.
So we right here. But continue, Dave. Please
Okay.
continue.
I'm going to try to take this to only just a couple minutes. Okay. So when you take a look at iconic people of color Black representation comic books, Luke Cage, Black Panther, Storm, all created and originally written by white men. Okay,
True that.
because they didn't have black creatives. But and they all the Marvel was trying to do was capitalize on the black exploitation movement at the time.
True.
But what they did is from those frankly imperfect first steps, you got creators like Christopher Priest, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Reggie Hudlin, Dwayne McDuffie,
Yes.
who came in
Who to me is like the absolute is like the absolute second favorite, but
exactly, but they gave the authentic voice. But you had to have those imperfect first steps to get to that point. You know,
yeah.
it,
Well, I'm gonna say this, and even for me, being a quote unquote creator of comics or whatever,
yeah,
because I mean, I've had some work on that because like back during the 1990s, okay, I was actually a part of the first age of comics. That's when Milestone was going. Well, you know what it is because we were kind of in
yeah, yeah,
that realm. And Milestone, I had the opportunity to meet one of my idols, Dennis Cowan, last year. He is
Danny
the
Cowan, yeah,
creator of he's the creator of Static, not Static Shock, ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen. It's Static. I have never ever called him Static Shock because that was a cartoon.
This
People
man will
don't
throw
people
hands over it.
yeah, like for real, because people don't understand that. I mean, it was a great cartoon.
Yeah,
It was a great animated cartoon, but there were just so many elements missing because you had
Yep.
Icon, you had, you had hardware,
Right.
you had the Blood Syndicate, and it's like none of that worked.
Once
None of that worked in that
once it
animated
started once
form.
it started
Yeah.
once it started melding in with the DC universe, both animated and comics,
Yeah,
because
like
because
ah.
you're taking Icon, who is so central to the Milestone universe, and you're turning him into just another Superman but
But
character.
they didn't make him that though. That's the beauty. See,
Okay,
the
I
one
still have to
thing,
read.
and because that's the one,
Yeah,
because that's the one big difference. Because I mean, he was an alien, but the first person that he
right,
saw contact with
right.
became, it was a
But
slave. It
right,
was a slave that found him.
what I'm saying is that once they're in the DC universe, Icon, what they did with Icon, I understand what you're saying, and but I mean, Icon is Superman but black, even though he's an alien. Apollo is
Yeah.
Superman but gay.
Yeah,
Shazam, yeah,
because you know what? Because I just thought about that because now everybody knows that Superman is now filming
The new one, yeah,
with
it's
the brand new
James
David
Gunn.
Corn
yeah,
Sweat.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
David Corn Sweat, and the first team, of course, that's gonna be in this movie is gonna be the Authority.
right,
So
but yeah,
this is going to be interesting
yeah, sure,
because the Authority is not directly a part of the DC universe. They're part of Wildstorm.
right.
So this is like, yeah, because kind of like what they did with the DC animated movies,
Hmm.
bringing Grifter
Yeah,
into the Tomorrowverse
right,
animated movies. So like man, it's
yeah.
crazy.
But
But I'm ready for it though. I'm waiting
yeah,
for it because it's
right.
gonna be good.
But what I was getting at is that you're taking all these iconic characters who have a place in their own universe and melding everything together in the DC universe in there with the OG Superman. They lose some of that iconicness and and their place um, in there because and again, this is my outside looking in point of view on that. I'm not trying to tell folks how to feel, especially folks who Icon and Apollo represent in terms of diversity. This is just
Yeah.
me looking in there, and it just makes it much harder. And that was the problem with Shazam, with Captain Marvel, once DC acquired um,
From
uh,
Fawcett.
Fawcett, yeah,
Yeah.
Fawcett Comics is he was just languishing in there because it's just basically Superman as a kid.
Yeah.
And but but like I said, getting back to what I was saying is that we have these stumbling blocks at trying to expand. Like our boy Jamil says, you know, representation is not pie
Right.
because you're
More of
giving
it for me.
someone a slice that doesn't mean less for you.
Right.
You need to bake a bigger pie.
Yeah. Well,
So yeah,
let me throw this in there. I've said this, and there are some that agree with me. There's been a lot that haven't, but I've always said it like this. To me, the one thing that the MCU has gotten right consistently from movie one till now are the, for lack of a better word, race specific movies. Black Panther, Shang-Chi, more recently the Echo series on Disney Plus. Mad representation for the disabled community, not to mention the Indian American community or the Indian community in general. And I feel like when they have that unified focus for the movie or for the IP, I feel that they do really well with it. Sometimes some of their other stuff can get a little wonky, but I feel that though if you look at those movies and for what it was, Captain Marvel can be considered too, because it wasn't the best Marvel movie ever, but it was a good version of what it wanted to be,
Right.
which was a
Right.
Now,
female
Right.
empowerment movie.
right.
Or
And this gets into another aspect that I've noticed in conversations, which
Right.
is that a lot of the male criticism towards Captain Marvel is that, oh, she's just a Mary Sue. She got her powers and she didn't have to suffer or work for or blah, 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 blah. She didn't have to pay anything for them. And they completely ignore the psychological gaslighting endured in that in that setup and having to overcome that.
yeah,
And
I agree.
there's men and women, as I've noticed in comic books, there's difference. There's a different view what what the women are looking at and what the men are looking at. And this actually just came up in a comic book discussion. Um, there's a Wonder Woman comic from a couple years back where Diana gets kidnapped by this misogynist guy. She gets captured, and he's got this magical artifact lasso that instead of commanding to tell the truth, the person wrapped in it believes and experiences their worst fear. And we see what Diana's worst fear is. It's being reduced to a 1950s housewife catering to her husband. It's being turned into June Cleaver. And the discussion about that, the guys are all like, that's nothing. So what? And the women are just like, you really don't get this, do you? And I'm coming in and I'm saying, no, Diana's greatest fear is not being happily married. It's that loss of agency. It's that loss of um, an essential core
Right.
and sublimating herself to another person.
yeah,
And that really sums up the difference between, from what I have seen, and not universal, but from what women who read comics experience and what men who read comics experience. Men go more for physical loss. That's what impacts them. Physical damage, loss of a friend or partner, loved one, things like that. Women, their fear is loss of agency because they experience it so much in the real life already. And to see their icon, their hero, their Superman reduced to June Cleaver. And don't get me wrong, if a woman wants to be June Cleaver, fantastic. That's great.
that's her choice.
But that is their choice. But being forced into that, because that is what is expected of you, that is your predefined role. Having no voice to define who you are, what you want. That is the fear of women comic fans because they see it all the time. And, it, three of us we were born at the tail end of the period where our moms could not get a credit card on their own. They needed to have a husband or a father co-sign for a credit card.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Not my.
I,
I hate to be the bearer of of misinformation,
right.
but no, because my mom was busy trying to ball, and
Oh
you
yeah,
know
no, no, no,
you
but
know
no. What I'm saying is that it was 1970 or about then that the policy changed. But before then, um, you had to have a husband to co-sign for a bank account
Oh yeah.
up until
Well,
like
yeah,
1960.
up until that point. But then you got to remember too. You got to remember, we are the latchkey kids. We're the first
Exactly.
generation where
Yeah,
kids, kids are like, hey, look, you got to get your own dinner.
yeah,
It's on and
and
cracking. Or
and
your
let
dad
me
or whatever. Yeah, fuck that. And I was ready. I mean, I didn't want the responsibility of that,
yeah,
but it
You know what I
made
have to do.
me to be a better man, a better individual, my own early and learning how to
right,
survive and doing all of that. So yeah, and I mean it's a keen look.
yeah,
Like I said, Generation X, FAFO.
yeah.
Fuck
Uh,
around and find out.
And let me just give a quick shout out to our boy Naruto Kikun. I always screw that up. Uh, Both Dark Lord 100, I think also Agent K28, know him under a different number. It's my old roommate back at Hayward.
Oh,
So yeah,
good to see you're doing well, sir.
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, but yeah, and it leads into another thing where we talk about how, oh, racism is a thing of the past and all this. No,
Shit.
Ru,
Shit.
Ruby
Who the
Bridges
fuck
is
said
still.
that shit?
Oh, you know who
Who
said.
said
You know people who say that.
yeah, who
Yeah,
said that?
yeah, exactly,
Somebody that shouldn't
exactly.
have.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because I'll put it to you this way.
Yeah,
I've experienced, see, the one thing, and the one
yeah,
thing about me is that, coming from such a quote unquote liberal state, you know, I I'm at the point to where I could say whatever the fuck I want to say when I say it. And
exactly.
when people come up to me, like I got called the N word, I got called
Been there.
that,
Yeah,
one time in North Carolina. And I looked
yeah,
and I looked at him and I was like,
yeah. I
you
mean,
could have called me something.
Got to be more
You
Kev,
original
could
than
have
that,
called me
bro. That word's
something
over
worse,
400 years
bro.
old.
Kev,
Like what the fuck
Kev,
is that?
Kev, were you at the house in Hayward when the dude on my street was watching us recording in the garage,
Uh,
and then he started shouting out the N word, and Jameel just leapt up and was all ready to toss hands on him?
oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
dude
no,
is one dude that does not take that word lightly.
exactly. No, no, no. But no, my point is that there's certain people who look like me who try to distract from and say that's in the past. It's history. No. Ruby Bridges is
Yeah.
still alive.
Yeah.
Okay, it is not in the past.
Well,
It's not even 100 years in the past.
very much so. All right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna do this. I love the
Damn, we done
conversation
tilted
that
off
we're
the
having, but I'm gonna
subject.
bring us back to
You got it.
cheap pop topics. Uh,
Okay, let's
I'll
go.
ask this. Recently, I had the privilege of catching up um, of something that came out months ago, and that was the new Crisis on Infinite Earths that aired on
Mhm.
HBO Max. Um, I will honestly say this: I love just like okay. Let me start this at the right point. After Endgame came out, I went back on Marvel Unlimited and actually read the Infinity Crisis comics just to
Mhm.
compare. what I saw on the screen to what was originally told to refresh my brain. And
Real
I'm
difference.
tempted to do well. I kind of did the similar thing with this, whereas I looked for what elements the live action CW Crisis took from the close to original storyline. And it was very interesting in understanding that this is part one of three, so we're not seeing the whole story. And but wow, did they end it on a cliffhanger? But
Yeah.
in general, I really liked how they did it. Like I genuinely did. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on the movie and your expectations for the upcoming part two.
Okay, well, first of all, I to me, Crisis on the Infinite Earth, the original 12 issue series that was published back in 1985, that is one of my favorite miniseries of all time because you got the death of the Barry Allen, the Flash, you got the death of Supergirl, you got the death of heroes that, like, damn,
Like they killed
that's
Dan?
kind of fucked up. Yeah. So, um, and then when you get the Arrowverse, and that was well put together because I mean, let's face it, you guys, DC is the reason why multiverse existed. They created the concept. Okay. You could say Marvel can do that, but
Put a
DC
caveat on that,
created
brother.
the
In
multiverse.
comics.
Yeah.
In comics. Because in
Even
physics,
in no
people
in
were talking
comics,
about multiple dimensions
no.
long
But
before
what I'm
DC
talking
did.
about when it came to comics,
Yes, that's
when
what I'm
it came
saying.
to
In the
comics,
comic world, they
yeah,
created
yeah,
multiverse. Yes,
yeah.
that's what I
That
was
was
saying.
that
I'm
was
like,
the
but the
thing
concept of
because
multiverse existed long before it existed in the
well, no, well,
comics.
we
I'm,
know
I'm
that.
messing with you, say.
I'm
I'm
just
messing
saying,
with
but
you.
just
Go
with the
ahead.
yeah, but I'm just saying with the comics, I got
Yeah.
that. But the thing about it is that the animated because I've seen part two already,
Yeah, okay.
and I'm not gonna give anything away, but I will tell you this: it's pretty much like where you had the Arrowverse, you got the comics. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a movie at some point on the big screen
Yeah,
because
live action.
I mean it would take about multiple chapters for that,
Yeah,
but this is the animated universe,
yeah.
and there are characters that are part of the part of the cartoon universes now. Be as it told, Kevin Conroy was is one of the I think that was one of his final roles.
Rest his
And
soul.
I believe in part three that he's gonna make his appearance
Okay.
in the animated in this Crisis on the Infinite Earth because Batman Beyond is actually in part two.
Yeah. Um, just on that note, because I haven't seen it yet, but watching that, hearing Kevin Conroy voice Batman, did it hit you as hard as watching What If and hearing Chadwick Boseman voicing T'Challa?
It's that moment of realization that you're watching the final pieces of somebody's
Yeah,
life work.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Well,
it did.
yeah, well that too, and also because it's like I haven't because actually there was some more I think there was some more voice recordings somewhere
Hmm.
that he actually did
Yes.
before his passing because I know there was the DC, the Crisis on the Infinite Earths, and then of course there was Suicide Squad,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
I think I haven't played it yet, but I heard it was terrible. Um, so, um, I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck because I haven't played it, but
Right.
people haven't. I'll put it to you this way: people have been going back to play the Avengers, and that game sucked ass.
Hey, I like the storyline in it, but
Yeah.
yeah, as far as controls and all that, it was super wonky.
Yeah, I was teasing our boy Jamil about when I first saw the trailer for Marvel's Avengers
Mhm.
on PlayStation. I'm like, dude, you're getting it just to see San Francisco blow up, aren't you?
Yeah, Jamil does hate San Francisco. uh,
So,
all right,
um,
go
but
ahead.
just like I said, I haven't seen Crisis yet.
Um,
It's on my to watch list, but my only input is that um, there's a story. I can't remember whether it's CBR or one of the other comic reporting sites where they said that the Arrowverse crisis, they didn't know, people that were doing the animated crisis didn't know what Arrowverse was going to do.
really?
And so that limited what they could plan for.
Okay.
And this gets to my big quibble about DC Warner Brothers in that um, DC has a very disturbing history of the Warner Brothers executive board meddling in projects
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
that they have no idea about.
Like,
Compared,
bro, like, let me just throw
yeah,
this tidbit in it. Like, what really pissed me off was the canceled Batgirl movie.
Yeah.
That
right.
to me was a slap in the face because I was looking forward to that because that was gonna be in the Batman universe, like of the
Right.
what's it call it? What's his name? The director.
Yeah,
Zack
I
Um
don't
Snyder.
know.
I
Not, no, not
no
Snyder. The
no
one
no
that
no no no
Robert
smack you, man.
Yeah,
Pattinson.
but
Stick yourself.
Pattinson Batman. Robert
Huh?
Pattinson. Robert
Yeah, the
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson Batman. That was gonna be that, in
Yeah.
that universe.
Right.
Don't
And
knock the man that created the emos Batman verse. Okay. No.
but you know
um,
what? That was a good that bro, that was
I
a hell of a movie, man, to
haven't
me.
seen it.
It
Not
was.
really.
It
Yeah,
was, but yeah.
but yeah. But even before then, I mean, like everyone, all the DC fans, they want to talk about the Snyderverse and everything, and you know, it still doesn't top what Paul Dini and Bruce Timm did with the DC animated universe, from Batman the Animated Series through Justice League Unlimited. Does not even come close to topping it. That was peak
DC.
DC
Yep.
That
because
was some good
right
storytelling.
because the executives, who cares about animation? Yeah, bad, bad, bad. And they just let it fly under the radar
Yep.
in
Yeah.
there. And it's only when the executives start meddling with DC stuff that you notice that the first season or two of Arrow were good, and maybe
Hmm.
the first season of Flash and Supergirl were good, and then it's like the executives figured out, oh, we got a hit on our hands, so we need to maximize the potential of this, and they start doing the focus groups, they start doing the stunt casting. Every single show now has the exact same seasonal plot arc where main character withholds a minor secret that they really shouldn't from their friends and allies, which really shouldn't be a big deal, but the friends and allies blow it all out of proportion when it gets leaked, leading to confrontation, hurt feelings, exploitation by the season's BBEG, leading up to the final two episodes where the main character manages to rise above, defeat the BBEG, set everything all back right with their friends and loved ones. Okay, new season, we're doing it all over again for every single show.
I'll say it like this. I enjoyed the CW verse, the Arrowverse, whatever you want to call
Right.
it.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've watched it literally from the Arrow all the way through the final season of The Flash. I'm actually kind of upset that they canceled Stargirl and some of the other ones that they were
Yeah.
building up, Naomi and stuff like that. But
Doom Patrol.
they also pissed me off because they threw away a Black Lightning spinoff
Oh,
that was
wow.
supposed to be
Black
about
Lightning was fantastic.
Khalil. And
Oh,
yeah, and so like I don't know what all of a sudden caused the sub CW to just say everything DC, but they did. And
yeah,
so, but in general, I felt like there could have been so much more of a launch into the DCU using
exactly,
the Arrowverse as a jumping point, as a
right,
launching point. And I thought it
exactly.
could have been so well done. I will make this statement till the day I die in regarding to the DC Marvel battle. DC spent so much time trying not to be Marvel that they forgot that the Marvel game plan that they laid out worked. It was successful. It made money. And
Right.
so they just tried so hard not to be Marvel that they ended up screwing themselves.
Exactly. And James Gunn essentially said that,
Yeah.
where, there's a conversation because of the success of X-Men 97, people are wanting Justice League Unlimited to come back. And James Gunn shot that down. And I commented, translation, Marvel beat us to the punch yet again. And I don't want the executives in charge of Warner Brothers rushing this and half-assing it like they do, because
Okay,
that's
I
the
want to I want to interject because I kind of want to interject something with this because I'm gonna tell you everybody
Go for it.
knows I'm Team DC. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm on the no. Don't get me wrong. I still love Marvel. I love like for me Marvels when the Clone series came with the Spider-Man, that was the death for me. That was the death for me
the
because that shit
90s.
went too far. That shit went way too far. But when it comes to this with everything that James Gunn is doing, and I think, and I could be wrong, everything that's going to end this whole entire, like, they're wiping the slate clean. They're ending stories because from what I'm understanding, Superman and Lois, this is the last season. There's
Hmm.
only going to be 10 episodes, okay?
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that they're going to like wipe everything out and start afresh because Superman is going to be the first movie, but the Creature Commandos is going to start it off first, and it's going
Right.
to be animated, and it is going to be, it's going to be starting point. So everything is going to be connected to the
Right.
movies, to the series, and it'll be successfully doing so because a lot of people don't know the Netflix series was not canon up until Echo.
Right. And there's,
Echo
yeah,
made it can no, Echo
Have
made
been
it canon.
Spider Man, because Spider Man is where Matt Murdock shows up as Daredevil.
yeah,
That
in
would have been officially when they entered the MCU.
Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
there,
Okay,
and
I
it
can
gets,
look at that.
yeah,
But no, that I mean, but that's what I
yeah.
mean. The powers that be, the powers that be were the ones that actually, they actually said that,
right.
now, I mean, are we
And
putting the
there's,
Netflix series
We,
as canon?
well, no,
and
real quick, Runescryer.
yeah, yeah,
Actually, I
yeah.
have to state that I'm wrong again about Matt Murdock being the entrance, because the entrance would have been Kingpin in Hawkeye.
Good point. Good.
The first entrance
Well,
of the Netflix
Yeah,
shows into the MCU would have been Kingpin and
yeah,
Hawkeye.
right.
But yeah, so go on,
But
Dave.
so 2 points. So the reason why WB keeps failing while Marvel Disney has a better record of success are the approaches of the parent companies, where DC, the executives see all these projects as a way to enhance their own name, their own credibility, and they want to rush to get their names put on there and make their marks in there. Whereas Disney at the time, under Bob Iger, he was trying to get Disney back to the Roy and Walt formula. where
Got you.
Walt was the creator. Roy Disney, his brother, was the businessman. Roy's only job was to make sure there was money for Walt's creativity. No, no mixing, no mixing jobs, no input into each other's jobs. Roy didn't tell Walt how to create. Walt didn't tell Roy how to make money and how to fund stuff. He just said, here's what I need in there. And that is the absolute key critical difference. And getting into that, the reason why Netflix failed, or the Netflix had the problem with not connecting with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was behind the scenes. When Disney acquired Marvel, okay, the largest stockholder of Marvel stock at that point was a guy named Ike Perlmutter. Okay, Ike Perlmutter, total corporate NBA conservative. This dude is a Mar-a-Lago patio lounge lizard sitting in around in Mar-a-Lago, being a sycophant to you know who, not to get political about it. He was trying to
Yeah,
get,
no
he was
politics
trying,
here.
yeah, he was trying to get on, he was trying to get named as the head of the Veterans Administration because his main day job is he runs massive healthcare industries in Florida. And he wanted to transfer his companies to be in charge of VA health. Okay. And to satisfy Perlmutter, Disney had to acquiesce to his demand that he would be made an executive producer in the MCU.
Wow.
Okay. On equal footing with Kevin Feige. Okay.
Damn. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And so what ended up happening is that the movies, that was Feige's territory. The Netflix shows, that was Perlmutter's territory. Perlmutter is the reason why Black Widow didn't come out until Endgame, because nobody's going to go watch a movie about a female superhero.
Wow.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy. Okay.
That's
Um,
insane.
it's insane. You know, I'm frankly surprised that Black Panther got past him in there. He was in this eternal dick measuring contest with Feig,
Uh,
and that's why nothing could be transferred from the MCU into the Netflix show.
that's insane.
That's
And
it. That's crazy. Like,
it
how
was,
the hell?
and what ended up happening is that eventually, this is the guy who, using his stock, he was publisher of Marvel Comics.
Mhm.
Yeah, hold on a second.
He,
Hold on, hang
yeah,
on a second.
yeah.
just a second. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to the student. Reese Puffs Goaded. What's up?
What's
What's
up, Reese?
up?
Hey, hey,
Good to see you. So now you can see who exactly who we are at this point.
right.
So
There you
yeah,
go.
I always talk about this young lady's a student, and I always try to talk to her a little bit about keeping up her grades and education and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and she
Stay in
gets her,
school,
but
kids.
she does get her Apex. She does get
Awesome.
her Apex Legends on though. I can't front.
Nice.
Respect.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
getting back to Perlmutter, Perlmutter was the publisher of Marvel Comics about the time of the buyout. Okay. He canceled Fantastic Four and the X-Men books
Wow.
because those were still Fox properties.
So
Okay.
you mean to tell me so that's the reason why we really haven't had Fantastic Four comic books in like
Yes, that's the
Jesus
reason why
Christ.
Kamala Khan was an Inhuman rather than a mutant like the original plan was, is because Perlmutter wanted to cut the mutants out because he saw that as free advertising for the Fox properties.
But now they're all under
that's
the
why,
same roof.
right. And he was pushed, and that's why Inhumans were pushed so fucking much
Yeah.
as
Oh,
a replacement for
and to
mutants.
me, and and I'm sorry, but to me, the Inhumans was probably that's probably the only thing, that
That
that yeah, that just
in Inhumans was a Scott Buck problem.
yeah.
Scott Buck being the executive producer and showrunner of Inhumans, not to mention
Yeah.
Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And that's why Anson Mount
No,
went from the Inhumans
yeah,
and beam over to Captain Kirk
and also Scott
or
Buck,
Christopher Pike.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also I believe Scott Buck was executive producer on showrunner on season 8 of Dexter.
Yeah.
Everything this dude touches essentially turns to shit.
Well,
Okay, so but yeah, that's the behind the scene dopes.
hold on.
Dope behind.
Hold up. Hang on
yeah.
a second. Ladies and gentlemen, in the building, Chicago's own DJ, the boss, Lewis, WBRP. What's up with it, fam? What's good with it?
What's good, fam?
Hey, hope you had a good C2E2. That's wrapping up this weekend out there in the Windy City. So,
All right.
but yeah, but that's inside dope on behind the scenes drama of why the MCU is the way that it is and why it had its stumbling blocks and all the stuff they had to overcome internally. And all of this got wrapped up in the last couple of years because the executive board at Disney finally got fed up with Perlmutter's shit and gently but firmly pushed him out the door. Okay, and that's why Disney they canceled the Netflix contract. They didn't renew it. It wasn't because they didn't want it anymore. It's because they wanted to cut off Perlmutter, and that was how they did it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
man. Well, damn.
Well, I'll say, Dave dropping knowledge right there on us, big time.
We in
All
here
right.
dropping science.
Like-
But,
Damn.
we ran over.
I told you. You put the nickel in. You gotta listen to the record.
True, true. Well, I'll say, we went about that much over time for that segment.
Oh.
So,
Sorry.
no, I'm
Sorry.
messing with y'all. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our commercial break real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll open up with a little me and Saint talking some of the hottest topics in wrestling, and then we'll move on to our big close, which will be video game reviews.
And I will be completely silent while you two talk Smackdown. I
sure-
got dogs in this fight, so
I'm sure
it's all you
there's
two.
a couple of topics that you might have something to say about.
We'll
We'll
see,
see.
yeah.
We'll see. All right, y'all. You're watching the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on First GenXers Twitch TV. Thank you for joining us. From me, Agent K28, Runescryer, we all say thank you and God bless. Peace.
Thank you.
You got to keep it. You got to keep it lovely. You got to keep it. Keep it. You got to keep it lovely. Success comes right after the struggle. I ain't even giving up on whatever I wanted. The tragedies I've seen, I can't even stomach. Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back to the crib, I'm thankful the Most High let me see all of it. Grateful I'm lovely, and I've been real with this. Please don't judge me. I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma keep it.
This is now versus then. This is now versus then. is now versus then. This is now versus then. This is now versus then. This is now versus then.
You getting on my nerves. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. Gang, gang, bitch. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. I said what I said. No, please don't tell on me. No, please don't tell the police. Gang, gang, you getting on my nerves. She getting on my nerves.
All right, y'all. I want to welcome y'all to Smackdown Alley with the Cheap Pop Podcast. That's right. Myself and the Saint are going to sit here and discuss with you some of the topics that were hottest during this week with pro wrestling. So, my brother from another mother. We're going to kick this off with this. Tony Khan put himself in the news not once, but twice this week. How, you may say? One was allowing his ass to be beat by some of his employees. The other one was by
See, I just found out about this.
getting on national TV and referring to WWE as the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling. Yeah, I'm gonna let you.
Really?
I'm gonna let you drop your opinion first.
Okay. All right. Look, AEW fans, look. It's not a great. I mean, it's a good product, but it's not a great product. Okay. A lot of folks are coming like either ex WW WWE wrestlers, or once they're on a once you're on AEW, you go to WWE. I mean, let's see, Jay Cargill, WWE. You know what I'm saying? That's a perfect example. Um, it was a strong company at first, but it's like I saw a match with Adam Copeland the other night. It was like it didn't have the wow factor for me. Okay. It just it really didn't.
Presentation matters. Sorry to say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just didn't, it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
To me, it just wasn't good.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about it. And I just figured this out recently. I believe I broke it down for you a while ago. I haven't had a chance to run this by, Mr. Jamil, but I look at pro wrestling like this. Pro wrestling is 50% what goes on in ring, and 50% the story as to why these men are wrestling, in this ring. I believe that both matter.
Mhm.
And I believe I only get half of a pro wrestling show with AEW. I feel that AEW gives us great in ring work because they have a bunch of great in ring workers, but they have a bunch of shitty writers. And the stories as to why these people are in the ring wrestling, more times than not, AEW misses. Like they don't
Right.
like they've had 5 or 6 good stories in 5 years. And so
I don't even think they've had 5 or good stories. I mean, let me just put it to you this way, because we definitely have to move on this.
yeah,
The only story in wrestling right now that matters and still matters is the bloodline.
yeah.
Nothing else really exists.
Well,
It's
I'll
the
say this.
bloodline because I
You go
mean,
back to
Cody, because Cody already finished his story,
yeah.
and even though it's a new era, but the bloodline still exists.
Yeah, well no, okay, here's the thing about it. To bring it back to the original question, basically Tony Khan, he wants what the Monday Night Wars were so bad that he's trying to go to any extent he can to try to elevate his company to that level. Point in term, I can tell you, I don't know if
It's
there
too
was
little, too
coke
late.
involved or not. Knowing Tony Khan, there probably was coke involved. But I believe that when this idea of him getting in the ring and doing this was hatched, it came from him thinking to himself, well, back in the 90s, when McMahon got in the ring, it kind of elevated WWE. You know what I'm saying? It brought them to this new height. McMahon versus Stone Cold is considered one of the best storylines ever told in pro wrestling.
Right.
Tony Khan sees himself as trying to create that kind of storyline. The problem with it is that he's not Vince McMahon, and the people he's working with aren't The Rock and Stone Cold. Okay,
I
and
I I give you that. I give
and
you
so
that.
the problem is it just comes off as a bad parody, not even a good one, just a bad parody of what we've already seen. Now, I will address this part of it in general. Going back to Dave's comments about the toxicity in fandoms now today, it exists in the wrestling world as much, if not more, than everywhere else. And you have this toxicity where people are like, if you want real wrestling, you watch AEW. Oh no, no, sorry, that's not where I was going with this. Sorry, that's a different subject. Um, that they're like, oh, it's repetitive. We've seen this before. The only argument that I have against that is this: if you are an avid enough fan of pro wrestling and you watch it for a year and a half consecutively, 18 months. You have officially seen every possible storyline that they have that exists within the world of pro wrestling. Now, from that moment on, you're watching everything recycled with new faces and new people, maybe with small different twists. Okay, I look at it the same way I look at with movies. A friend of mine who studied film told me this, that in one of her classes she learned that there are only 6 actual storylines that
Seven,
exist. What's that?
seven.
7 that exist
Yeah.
in actual storytelling, and every story that you pretty much ever seen is a derivative of one of those 7.
Right.
It's the same thing in wrestling. There's only about 5 or 10 stories that they tell, and the rest is just all little twist and change and different faces in the story. This is
So,
just
Right.
going at.
so what story does May Young giving birth to a hand fall under?
Woman falls
That's
in love.
the that's the bull.
Because I believe, if I
That's
remember
the
correctly, that
bullshit
was
right there,
Sexual
y'all.
Chocolate's baby, was it not?
I don't know.
Look, WWE, just like WCW and everybody else out there, has not told gold every time that they've told a story, but they have put together a few that kind of transcended wrestling. Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon became more about or not modern day, but the blue collar guy versus the big corporate machine. You
Right.
know, you had these storylines again though. They were recycled storylines. They told us the exact same story with McMahon versus Stone Cold that they told us with Rock versus Stone Cold. It was just told in a little bit different of a way. So that's why the it's predictable argument gets on my nerves
Yeah.
because
But even
because go ahead.
even going back to, classic '80s
Yeah.
with IRS being the man,
The man, yes, and
and Hacksaw and all the other blue collar honky tonk and them.
Junkyard Dog.
Yeah,
Hey, oh, I'll even give you a better one. The $1 Million Man
Ted
versus Hulk
DiBiase,
Hogan.
right?
Because on Hulk Hogan's side, you had all the blue collar guys. You had Roddy Piper, or not Roddy Piper, but you had Junkyard Dog, Coco Beware. You had,
Yeah.
all of the blue collar guys. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter. We're all on Hulk Hogan's team. And then on the $1 Million Man side, you had all the Virgil, his butler. You had IRS. You had,
Mhm.
all of the corporate type guys. The story has
Bernard
been told
Shyster.
50 million times,
Urban
guys.
Shyster, yeah.
You know,
That's not problematic at all.
no, uh, but WWE finds a way to make a good portion, or at least one turd out of every 50 shine. The Bloodline over the past 4 years is a storyline that shined for them. And so I think that AEW needs their Bloodline storyline. They need their McMahon versus, and that's what he's trying to create with this. I think he's going to fail miserably because, unfortunately, really all AEW is a sandbox with a billionaire playing with his wrestling toys. And that's never going to be successful long term. But I think that I don't think they're going to see. I'll say it like this before I close out and let Saint take over. I see them being more of a TNA than a WCW. They're not going to go out of business and be bought by WWE, WWF. But they will kind of slide into obscurity and always be there, but never really be a threat or any type of competition to what is the centerpiece of the pro wrestling world, which is WWE. So,
Right.
all right, let's bring it to the next subject, and we'll go to a lot of people consider the contract signing between AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes a little boring. Have you had a chance to see it, sir?
I kind of went to sleep on that.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I mean, it was like, two Georgia boys, smacking it up or whatever the case may be. But I was disappointed. I mean, I would have rather AJ Styles not be in this match. I mean, I would have rather LA Knight, because he would have been talking. He just would have been talking big shit.
I think that's a feud they're saving for later.
He wouldn't have gave 6 fucks.
I think that's a WrestleMania level feud, and I think they're saving it for later. Like, I think that LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes is something that just doesn't happen at any, maybe SummerSlam, maybe Royal Rumble, but you don't just do it at any pay per view. Like, nah.
Maybe.
AJ Styles was good. Nah, I'm messing with this thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm just like it was a snooze fest.
Yeah.
I wasn't excited about it.
But I'll tell you what wasn't. And
Now
you can
I'm
tell
more
me,
excited about I was just gonna say I'm more excited about the tag team match.
Jade Cargill and Bianca
Jade-
Belair. I'm juiced to see that.
Black girl match.
She's still very much green, but they're making her look good. They're definitely making her look good. I think that the Storm is something that's going to end up being huge by WrestleMania. But she's definitely got to get better in ring if she wants to sustain and have a Bianca Belair type run. But I completely support Jade Cargill, 100%. That match is gonna be, yeah, yeah. The Kabuki Warriors, those two girls can go. Um, all right, let me see. We also got one more match: Damian Priest versus Jay Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, and I think it's getting good. I think it's getting real good. But I think we're seeing the end of the Judgment, at least as we know it.
Yeah, it's you know what? It's pretty much a wrap. We already know Damian Priest is probably going to still retain, but that's going to be a fight,
Yeah, it
and
is.
I can't wait to see it.
I am here for it.
I
all
can't
day.
wait to see it. Yeah.
All right. So that will close out our wrestling segment for right now. We will bring you a quick intro that will show you what we're about to talk about next. Cheap Pop Podcast, first GenXers, Twitch TV. There we go. Sorry. All right, all right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I got lost.
All right, so here we
All
go.
good.
Video game reviews. We're going to allow Runescryer to kick us off since this is his debut episode. And he's going to kick us off with, I believe, an upcoming game.
Two things, actually. I just remembered something. So, first of all, today is the 20th anniversary of the game the fans refused to let die. Yesterday, it was on this day 20 years ago that City of Heroes first hit shelves. Superhero MMO. And now that I've got OBS working pretty regularly, in addition to Night Shift, I'm going to introduce the first Gen X Nation to City of Heroes because it went from 2004 until 2012 when the servers were shut down. But the fan base would not let it go. For years,
Yeah.
there was a private server that was invite only. Things happened. I'll go into that another discussion time. But in 2019, the private server went public.
Wow.
It has now been about 5 years that City of Heroes has been resurrected, regularly played, stable player base, regular updates, and it's not the same experience, but it's still pretty damn good. And it still has a player base that is passionate about and getting this and keeping this game going as long as possible. And a couple months ago, the original publishing company, NCSoft, out of Korea, they actually granted City of Heroes Homecoming the full license. They just have to credit NCSoft, and keep it free to play. But it's now Homecoming's baby. They now are running it. They are now in charge of developments, of maintenance, of everything. So
That is amazing.
it's fantastic.
Awesome.
All right, so the game that I wanted to talk about is what's going to be upcoming, and it ties into what Night Shift is currently all about, and that is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. So, about a week ago Monday that I did the first episode for Warhammer 40K Space Marine. And this is based off of the Wargaming um, miniatures game. First person shooter, fantastic storyline, great mechanics, absolutely amazing. But it suffered from the downfall of THQ. Uh, yeah. And um, it basically just was there was a trilogy that was planned, but um, that all got cut off. And Games Workshop, the makers of Warhammer 40,000 and the fantasy game Warhammer, they have a touchy history with video games because originally, back in 1990 something, there was going to be a Warhammer real-time strategy game. It was almost completely done, ready to launch, ready to go. And then Games Workshop pulled out of the project, leaving this little company named Blizzard with an almost complete fantasy real-time strategy game. Well, they repackaged it, rebranded it as Warcraft.
Whoa.
And there's been little bits and sniping between Games Workshop and Warcraft. For example, you ever wonder why in Warcraft, paladins, they don't get swords, they got double-handed hammers? The Warhammer. It's a little dig at GW.
Nice.
GW dug back with a few, well, Blizzard dug back again with StarCraft with, you think that the Zerg are just alien, the xenomorphs from the Aliens franchise? They are, but they're closer to the Tyranid faction from Warhammer 40K. Just horde of alien ravagers that you send across the table into combat, all cyclically linked in a hive mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so GW said, "Oh, really? Okay." And so they introduced a new faction back around 2000 or so in Warhammer 40,000 called the Tau. Basically, blue communist space goats, which are kind of like the Draenei from Warhammer, literally. Cloven backward legs and everything, with a whole philosophy of the greater good. And so that's been going on for a while. So, yeah, but anyway, so Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 was supposed to come out this past fall, and I was fucking hyped. The first game was why I got a PlayStation to begin with, PlayStation 3 to be precise. I still have the disc. It's still fantastic. It's available on Steam now, as are all the Warhammer 40K video games. Mostly they're going to be real-time strategy games, so. So it was picked up by Focus, developed by Saber Interactive, a couple of mid-tier titles. Focus Interactive was owned by Embracer Group. I say was because a couple months ago, Embracer Group kind of self-imploded.
Oh,
That's
not good.
Yeah. Embracer is a IP acquisitions company. IP rights.
Yeah.
These guys have the rights to the Tolkien estate. Or they're the ones behind the Amazon Rings of Power series, all the recent Lord of the Rings video games, and other stuff. So Embracer Group, which is out of Sweden, have had other problems that are not going to get into, but related directly to us. Um, Rings of Power, not a big hit like they were hoping. Didn't bring in a whole lot of money. And then there was Middle Earth Golem, which crashed and burned last summer. They're a video game where you're playing as Gollum, just quadrupeding around. And yes, precious.
Oh yeah, that game
Yeah.
that game. I think that game was quickly. I think that game got quickly delisted
Right.
from what
So-
I understand. And I mean, I saw it because I saw it on the PlayStation for like 2 minutes, and then what the fuck happened to that game?
You betcha. So Embracer decided that they need to start selling off some of their companies. They just got too big. And so Focus Interactive was one of the companies that went on the chopping block, and they sort of bought themselves. I think it was for something around like 60 million or something like that.
Yeah.
But Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 is coming out late September this year. It's all finished. The saga that you're going to be watching unfold on the night shift is going to be continued. The only thing I'm really disappointed about, besides the delays and the time that took to get to this point, is the fact that the central character in the first game, the main character, Captain Titus, captain of the second company of the Ultramarines, is voiced by Mark Strong, British actor that you may know, have heard of.
Oh, he was in Kingsman, right?
Yes.
Who do you play?
Sinestro
Yeah.
from the terrible Green Lantern movie. Whole lot of
Yeah.
other stuff. He's got a really deep voice, not Sarah Fanowitz deep, but he's got that commanding, calm, deep voice in there. He's
Yeah.
not voicing Titus in the second, but you know it's kind of like doing Halo without Steve Bloom voicing Master Chief. You can get people to sound like him, but it's still not going to be the same experience. But yeah,
Right.
and after we're done, game trailer. I know I posted the game trailer on the Facebook page. I may relink it again today just to see. And it's all about shooting them Tyranid hordes. That at first, Space Marine 1, it's about the orc hordes, which are just absolutely comedic in themselves. But it's all about just having wave after wave of xenomorphs charging at you and just having to blast in there. And there's no med packs. When you want to heal, you've got to do melee combat combos in order to recover health. Shields regenerate normally, but you got to get it in down and dirty if you want to regain health.
Damn.
So yeah,
That sounds
so
interesting.
that is going to be good. I'm going to be back on the night shift tomorrow night, so look for that announcement, and we'll catch up because I literally the video from first part is on the Twitch channel. You guys can watch it at your leisure. Had a little bit of a rough part on the train trying to shoot down orc ship, but I'm past that. I'm past that section.
Yeah.
I made it. It's very difficult because they're throwing mini bosses in close combat, and those you can't just normally to regain health. You have to push Y or top button on PS controller is triangle. Yeah, you have to push that, and then the melee combat. But you have to push that to stun them, and then you have to push the right side button to do the execution move to regain health. With the mini bosses, you
Right,
have
okay.
to do button combos to stun them. then push the execute button. And it's just getting that timing back down
Yeah.
in there. That's what was really hurting me. So, yeah, looks like Michael the Archangel One just joined us.
Yo, yo, yo.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
What's up, man? What's
What's up,
going
man?
on here?
Thanks
yeah.
for joining
All
us.
right.
So
Talking
yeah,
video games.
All right.
so that's going to
Okay,
get
so
in,
I'm
and
I'm
it's going to get pretty intense um, as the game goes on, especially the storyline, and there's going to be some jaw dropping, what the fuck moments. What just happened?
Right on, right on.
okay.
So be sure to
Yep.
join Runescryer on that
All
night
right.
shift.
So
Next up
I'm gonna
will
quickly
be Saint.
I'm gonna quickly yeah, I'm gonna quickly run this up. The game is called Tales of Kenzia, called Zao, and it is a side scroller game that just dropped last week. And it's a Metrovania. It's done by EA Originals, and it's the story of an African shaman who lost his father, in death. And the mentor is like a he's not so much as the Grim Reaper, but he could be like a good friend of yours. It's like that's the kind uncle that
Iroh.
he's going to give you that good advice, but it's just something good. But the action is really great. I actually streamed it on Friday. If you can go back and look at if you can go back and look at it, I think it's probably still somewhere in the rotation,
Oh, yeah.
but
It's about
it's
2, 3
really a
videos back.
great game. Yeah, it's really a great game, and I think that most folks should check it out. They kind of did it dirty because of a certain company. They did a review, and it's like it's really not getting a lot of attention. But this channel here, and because you know me about me and my blackness, okay? But it's not even about that, y'all. But no, it is a tale of it is an African tale. It is really great. And if you can understand how you can lose the death, or you can lose, a loved one, it's really good. You would really have to see and play the game and give it some kick, I'm telling you. And it's currently playing on the PS4, PS5, no, actually PS5, Xbox One, and I think PC. And it is an EA Originals Tales of Kenzia. This is really, really good. And I hope you guys get the chance to watch it and really play it. I think it's awesome.
Give
Yeah,
it a try.
I'm gonna
that's
put
it
that
for
on
me,
my
bro.
list. Yep.
All right. So, everybody gets their turn here at the Cheap Pop Podcast. So, Dave did a game that's coming up. Saint did a game that's out now. And I'm going to do a game that I'm playing tonight. That is FC 24. Have not had a chance.
Yes.
Let me see. Let me tell you this. So I have not played every mode of the game. You know what I'm saying? But for those of you who don't know, this is the predecessor to FIFA. I forget what the reason was why EA can no longer use the FIFA thing. Why? But now they use the FC, which stands for basically Football Club. Uh, 24, but it's basically the same game as FIFA, except that they've added this mode. I don't know if this mode existed in FIFA. I don't think it did. I never saw it. Called Manager Mode, where you can be just the manager. Now you can play the games like you do in franchise, but or you can just keep it real and let the games play themselves and play as the manager. Well, I decided to do that. And I decided to, put myself as the new manager of the San Jose Earthquakes. That's the local squad. Actually, really, I should go Sacramento FC, but I don't believe they're on there. But so I went with the Earthquakes. So I went 0-5 in my first 5 games. Yep. Didn't matter what adjustments I made. Went out and signed some new players. Thought I did some good things. Finally win a game. 10-9, by the way. And I'm immediately terminated right after the game. No, 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 we're not going to re-sign you at the end of the season. No, no new contract. Look, bro, you did some shit. We didn't like it.
And
You're terminated now. As of matter of fact, it's 5 minutes ago because we had to send you the contract to say you were terminated. So you were terminated the minute we sent you. So you actually been terminated for about a good 20 minutes. But anyway,
That's
Oh.
fucked up, bro.
that
but
is
I do have
cold.
good news, and you can watch the good news continue to take place tonight. I did sign with a new team. I'm with the Colorado Rapids now, which, by the way, this guy. For those of you who've been watching me on my sports thing, this is Derek Dangerfield. Like he's like the distant cousin of the Dangerfields from the NBA game. Uh, well, I'll say, but yeah. So and so like I won my first game with the Colorado Rapids earlier this afternoon. I'm gonna play again this evening before I jump in and play um, my NHL 24 stream, which I do a double dip on Sunday nights at both of those games. But come join me there. But FC 24, it's a spectacular game. And if you're like me, I know a lot of guys in Gen X. Like I'll tie this back to Madden, probably one of the most popular EA games ever. Madden used to have this spin-off game that really should have just been a sub mode within the Madden game called Head Coach, and it was very similar to the manager
Yes.
mode in FC, where you could do you couldn't do anything but the head coach stuff. Hire your different coaches, run teams through practices, call plays during the game. It's similar to NCAA.
That was
coach
an
mode.
excellent game, bro.
Yes.
That game, like, and I think what Tony Dungy was on the cover, right?
Yes.
Or was it Herman Evans?
No, it was Tony Dungy.
No, hey, look. That game, I'll put it to you this way: if there was any game that could teach you the game of football and learning how to coach, like, yeah, you're a backyard quarterback or what have you, but you really learn how to deal with contracts and disagreeable players, and if motherfuckers didn't want to sign because it was like 2 cents less, that's how petty these guys are. So you have to deal with the pettiness and all of that. But yeah, I'm all for it because hey, it's good to coach, and especially you playing FC, because I mean, as football, because hey, look, it's not soccer to me. Okay, I've never really looked at it. It's football,
Yeah.
but for what it is, it's a great game, and I really think because I've been watching you play that, bro, and like I said, I constantly like yell at the fucking screen because it's like I think you made a bad call, but then it's like, what the hell happened? But then you got fired, bro.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad that didn't
happy
happen on
trails,
stream.
motherfucker.
Like I would have been embarrassed had that happened when I was actually in the middle of a screen. So
That would've been bad, son.
this is why we play the games offline.
That would have been bad.
But anyway, no, but yeah, it's a great game, and like I said, the head coach game. If anybody is looking for it, I think the only place you could probably find it is if you could find an old disc edition of the 25th edition of Madden. It came with the like special edition of Madden as an extra game. So I believe that's about the only place you probably can find it now. But it was a great game. Like I said, it should have been subsumed into Madden as one of the modes that you could choose. You should have been able to do the head coach mode, but they didn't. But FC brought it back with this manager mode. I'm loving it. So
And I remember Madden
Right.
1
yeah, 94
when
or
it
no,
first
94.
no, even before then.
Yeah, just John Madden
Like
football.
when it was just John Madden football.
Yeah.
Yeah. And me and my boys, it was PC only, and me and my crew, we used to actually hold full-on drafts
Nice.
before that was a thing, and trading, getting my Niners stacked up as much as possible, and
Heck yeah.
just going through seasons. So
Oh yeah. Like, and I
that
do,
was back.
I do love the addition. I did love the addition. I believe it was in 2014 and 2015 of online leagues to Madden because it allowed me, Suave, and the Duel to have battles. Like, I mean, matter of fact, I believe unless they shut down the server for that particular Madden, I believe our league is still there. Like, we were like something like 25 years deep into our
Jeez.
league. Now, don't get me wrong. Steve had won most of the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Uh, but but
Yeah,
yeah, we had
Steve is
played
Mr.
it for years.
I'm gonna tell you, Steve is Mr. Football.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Hold on. Here's a quick story I'll
Yeah.
tell about Suave. My boy had played when we were living on in Bancroft. I came over to his house. Sega Dreamcast, NFL 2K, just came out. I come over. I forget who specifically was there, but I know there were 3 other dudes there besides me, and all of them were like, none of us can beat Steve. Matter of fact, none of us have scored.
You got to
Right.
remember, I was one of those. I was
Right?
there.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
So
I was
come
there.
in, so we had these stools that we sat in the middle of the living room, and each person got their own little stool. And me and Steve played. So I finally drive down. I'm in the red zone. I fucking score. Room goes wild. First person to score on Steve all night. Final score of that game, 117-7.
Oh.
So I got my butts kicked, but I walked out with my head held high because I was the
Damn
first dude
straight.
that actually scored on him.
Yep.
Yeah, Steve hasn't gotten any worse at football games since then. But don't get it twisted. I did beat him, I believe, for like 4 or 5 Super Bowls over those 25 years. So he wasn't undefeated.
Awesome.
He didn't win every one of them. He lost a few. But it was definitely me and Abdul having a tough time, and Steve and the AFC as the Raiders basically beating up on the computer most regular seasons and then facing one of us in the Super Bowl.
Man.
Yeah. So we needed another person to come in the AFC and kind of balance it out and give us 2 human people in both sides of the league, but we never found anybody.
Was the Bancroft house?
Yeah.
That was off of oh god. That was the White House single stair walk up to the porch.
No, it was right up the street from the Willows. It was right up the street
Yeah.
from the Willows. It was on you could either come in from the
was on-
backside on Bancroft or the other side of it was on Hesperian
East 14.
or East 14th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, brain
okay.
fog and everything. I just remember. Were either of you guys there when me and Jamil you remember the White House?
Yeah.
Yeah, up there.
Yeah.
And so me and Jamil we went out for something, and then we came back and we snuck up and we basically did a no knock and said things like that. Everyone's like, ah! I can't remember who it was.
Oh man. Are you talking about the house in Oakland?
Yeah, in
Yeah,
Oakland.
okay. I'm like, cause I lived. Well, we swapped spots at the Willows with Jamil, and then we moved into the 3-bedroom spot with Hagai, and then we all moved
Yeah.
out. But
Yeah.
anyway, sorry,
I'm
reminiscing.
just trying.
Reminiscing.
Yeah, old men getting together, reminiscing. Damn it.
You know, but all
Hey,
right.
I'm not old. Fuck you.
So.
Look, man, you guys are the one with the gray in here, okay? I thought black.
Hey,
not
look,
supposed to
I've
crack.
earned. Listen,
Hey,
and
hey,
I've
the skin
earned
ain't
every
cracked,
single
brother. The
bit of
skin
it,
ain't
bro.
cracked. They didn't say your hair doesn't grow gay.
Yeah, you know.
It's just
look,
most
you
of
know,
us
I
by
gotta
the time we
be-
get this age look like Saint. We just go bald to say.
Yeah, I mean, and I can talk shit because I'm up in Oregon. Double K's in Bay Area.
Yeah. Well,
Saints all the way on the other side of the country.
Look, I'm older than both of you motherfuckers. So you know,
Oh,
hey,
no,
look,
no,
I
man.
hit the double nickel in like 2 months.
Yep.
hey, I'm
Yep.
closer to 5-0 than I am to 4-0. Okay.
Yep.
Like, but in general, though, gentlemen, it's been a great episode.
Been
Let's wrap it
fantastic.
up here, guys. You can catch RuneScryer when.
Tomorrow night, midnight, till whenever my ass falls asleep, Pacific time.
All right, Saint, we can catch you next, or Agent K28.
Yeah, you guys can we got a brand new episode of NBT News. Y'all already know it's with the music. It's gonna be a good vibe. I got a couple of segments I'm gonna be introducing tonight. Putting the spotlight on some up and coming young people that are doing things and making a positive move. So it's really gonna be good. Plus, we got some new music coming your way. So yeah, I'm ready for it, bro. Let's
Alright.
go. And it'll be
Go for
about
it.
maybe 8:15, 8:20 because we kind of ran over with this one. So, but it's been a good day,
It definitely has
and
been.
we kind of need to stretch it out a bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you can catch
And then
me.
of course,
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say you can catch
oh, that's
me
what I was gonna say. Yeah,
at 7 o'clock with the one and only O'Malley. Trust me, she's a treasure to watch and a beautiful human being to boot. And we'll be bringing you the sports talk. with
okay, and that's
classic-
10. That's 10 on the East Coast, folks.
Yeah, that's 7
That's
to
10 o'clock
7
on the East Coast.
on the Pacific, 10 on the Eastern, or actually probably around 7:15, 10:15 on the Eastern.
Yeah, 7:15,
Yeah.
10:15. Yeah,
And then
that's what the ad said anyway.
and then I'll be following that up with my stream of FC24 and NHL 24 to close out the night. So y'all stay beautiful, stay real. From Dark Lord 100, Runescryer, Agent K28, we out. Peace.
Peace.